Lori here. I'm here today to do my April TBR. I'm really excited for this TBR. It is the Magical Read-a-thon TBR, and I'm really excited. I have never participated in the Magical Read-a-thon, like, at all. So I'm really excited to start, and I just want to go over the character that I sort of created so we can all get to know her. And yeah, I'm really excited to share her with you and just talk about my TBR. I am going to take it easy this month because I'm not going to do Fablin really. I'm not going to do my personal TBR game because I'm doing a league that has a lot of books and it may take me all month to get through with them. But I'm going to introduce you to my characters. So let's do that first. Rounds of this read-a-thon. I think the first one was in September. And the second round was last month, and this round is the spring term, and then we have a fall term in October. So I'm really excited to share my character with you. Her name is Celise. She lives in Etheria, which is an elven region, but she is technically a earthling that deals in nature magic, and her specialty is air. She is a mind walker, which means she walks through people's minds. She does tend to work with healers, but that is her chosen path. Her favorite weapon is a dagger, and her unique calling is a dreamwalker, which just sounded the most interesting. So I have read a bunch of books for the past couple of weeks that sort of build on that. I really like Dreamwalkers. It was honestly really hard to choose like all of these things because they all sounded so fascinating. I could have probably made like 6 characters easily, but that's her name. My name is Celise, and yeah, I'm really excited to get to play with her this month and really focus on her. I really do love doing like my 1,000 of read-a-thons, but I really do want to give this time the one of focus it deserves, and that is why I'm focusing on the Magical Read-a-thon this month. And a lot of reading will be had. So we are going to go over all the books for the Magical Read-a-thon that I have planned, and then any other books that I just kept on my TBR cart. So let's get into it. Works is that like your guild, you have to do a certain number of classes in Orillium to get into your guild. So first class I have to do is astronomy, and the prompt for that is to read a book that is high on your TBR. And for that is Tristan Storm Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwami Mabali. I have heard really good things about this one. I'm just going to read you guys the back. Best-selling author Rick Riordan presents Kwami Mabali's epic fantasy, a middle-grade American gods set in the richly imagined world populated with African-American folk heroes and West African gods. This follows a 7th grader named Tristan Storm, and he is sort of dealing with the death of a friend. They were on a bus accident together, and he has one thing from his friend, but when he misses that and it sort of goes missing, he gets sucked into this fantastical world filled of African-American folk heroes and West African gods. I have read pretty much every other Rick Riordan presents story, and I just have not got around to this one. This is also the group book for the Avengers Reading Challenge, and I'm really excited to dive into this one. I have heard incredible things about it, and this is going to probably be my first read of the month. At this point, it is a completed trilogy, and I really will want to pick up the rest of the books, but this is going to fulfill me for the class of astronomy. Category is for alchemy, and you have to read a book with romance. Is it? I'm having a little bit of a hard time choosing, so I do have some options. The one that I really do need to read because it's a hold for the library is The Roughest Draft by Emily Weberly and Austin Sigmund Broga. This is about Karina and Nathan, and they used to be a writing duo, and they sort of broke up, but they have one more book on their contract, and they sort of have to get together to finish this book. It's funny because this is the first book that this pair has written for the adult audience, and they are also a married couple that writes together. So I think that's sort of funny. I really would love to read that this weekend and just sort of get it out of the way. But if something happens and I don't get around to this one, or I have to return it, I might have to do that. When does this book have to go back? It might actually it's due back the 9th, so I would have a little bit of time, but not a lot. So if I don't read that this week, I also do have When the Night Breaks by Janelle Angelis. This is also a sequel, and I've been trying to get better at reading sequels, but this is the sequel to Where Dreams Descend, and it is like a Phantom of the Opera retelling. And this one was a very like romance heavy fantasy book. And the last one that I'm actually currently in the middle of reading, I have options, is Sophie and the Bone Song by Adrienne Tooley. Here is a photo. Author that wrote Sweet Bitter Magic that I read last year. It's also an LGBTQ plus romance read. It is music themed. I just started it. I read about 150 pages at the tail end of March. I will definitely finish in April, but it ultimately just comes down to which book I read quicker. We will see, but these are my options. If I had to choose now, I'd probably say the Rough Draft because it is the shortest, and I'm on a timeline, but we'll see. Class I have to complete in the month of April is for oh my god, what is it? The Art of Illusion. That is the class, and I have to read a book with a trope that I like. So my backup plan, if Before the Night Breaks doesn't get chosen, I can also read that because I do love books set into like a fantastical, like a magical place. I like that. I like the love to hate element to that story. I also really just liked a lot of the tropes in that story. But I have wanted to read Corner of White by Jacqueline Moriarty for a while. It is also on my spring TBR. But this is about a character that was sent to the modern world, but she is really a fairy tale character, or like she's from a fantastical kingdom. I really love that trope. I've had this book for so long and just never picked it up. But yeah, I don't know much about it other than like she and her mom escape this fantasy world and have to go live in the modern world, and I think their two worlds wind up colliding, and it sounds interesting. So this one's one I really hope that I get around to. But if not, I do hope to read When the Night Breaks. But again, I have some options on this TBR because I'm not overwhelming myself with other things, so I can give myself some options. Spell and Incantations, and it's to read a short story collections or a series of essays. So I am most the way through Hood Feminism. I've been reading this as nonfiction. I've been reading it in the morning before I go to work. Haven't made a whole lot of progress, but I'm getting there. So this is the one that I might wind up reading first and calling it done. However, if I can get the audiobook from Audible, I might also read John Green, The Ansa Panit Reviewed. And this is a gift of storytelling. Shines this massive collection is an open-heart exploration of the paths we forge and the unerotic celebrations in falling in love with the world. So I have really liked John Green. I just like his point of view, and it talks a lot about like climate change in this as well. And I read Bill Gates and I really did like it, so I'm excited for this one. I'm gonna maybe try to get it from Audible and listen to it on my commute to and from work. But again, I do need to finish Hood Feminism. So these are the two books that I have my eye on. If I could finish one of these this month, I'd be super happy. But I am about halfway through Hood Feminism, so we will see how that shakes out. Class that I need to read for is Psychonics and Divinations, and I have to read a book that is set in the future. And since I really do want to read some more Brandon Sanderson, I did decide to pick up Skyward. I actually did get the prize, well, I didn't win it, but I bought the prize pack that has the shirt and stuff, and I just want to know what doom slugs are, so I bought the shirt, and I feel like I should probably read it before I get that book. So I'm going to read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I have really enjoyed some of his young adult stuff. I've also really liked his adult stuff, so I'm excited to dive into the series. It's definitely more science fiction, and I'm really excited to finally get around to it. The book is over there, but here's the dust jacket. And I have been watching a lot of his live streams recently, so I'm really excited to dive into it and hope that I enjoy it. That I need to read for is Conjuration, and I have to read a book that has a source of light on the cover. I have not failed in my adult task yet, so I am going to pick up a memory called Empire by R.K. Martin. I have a secret project plan for this, I think, so if I can do it, I would be really happy, but this is one of the books in the secret project. Skyward is another one. But this is a nuanced and startling imaginative memory called Empire is a sprawling space opera debut that puts a rare new stamp on the genre. And I know that there's a mystery element to me. And I love anything that has a mystery that will keep me reading. I will pick it up. So I'm really excited for this one. I've heard very good things and I'm excited. So I'm trying to read some more science fiction. I have really not read a lot, but Reagan has really recommended this, so I hope that I enjoy it. Class that I need to read to become a mind walker is lore, and I need to read a mythology inspired book. Now, Tristan Storm would work. Another book that's on my other TBR might work, but because I'm going to a book signing on Sunday, and I am on a blog tour, so I do need to read this. Arusha and the Nectar of Immortality by Ronnie Chosky, I do need to read, and I'm really excited to read it. I'm really excited to meet her. Hopefully I can get to meet her on Sunday, but this is a book that I do need to read for my blog tours. I'm going to talk about those next, actually, because I'm on quite a few this month, in addition to Sophie and the Bone Song, which is also a blog tour book that I need to read. But this one I'm really excited. It's the conclusion to the Pandavas series, and I really have enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorites, so I really hope to start reading this early next week. Yeah, so this is another book that I'm really excited for. And now I'm going to talk to you about some of the e-arcs that I have to read for some blog tours that I'm on. One is Arusha, one is Sophie and the Bone Song, and now let's chat about the other ones. So one of the other e-arcs that I have, it's not even an e-arc, I'm supposed to get a physical copy, but I have a e-copy that I can read, is Alone Out There. Here's a photo of it. Here's a science fiction story, and it is set in 270. Soon a volcanic eruption will trigger a catastrophic disaster, and their children are boarded for the weekend of touring a high-tech prototype spaceship. And basically, these people have to try to save the world. That sounds very, very scary, very, very concerning. But I like when kids are put in that position because they sometimes have very, very interesting reactions. So I'm really excited. It's another science fiction novel. It is my goal to read a lot more science fiction, so this might be the push that I need. I am also on a blog tour for it, so it does have to get read. And then the next book we're going to chat about is a middle grade story that I'm really excited to read as well. Last physical e-arc I have that I'm on a blog tour for is by Julie Kagawa. Here is the cover. I'm really going to struggle saying this name, and I don't want to butcher how to say it, but here is the cover. This is the first book in a new middle grade series. Julie Kagawa writes a lot of young adults, so I'm excited to see her middle grade debut. And this is the first book in a globe-trotting adventure combination of high-tech wizardry, old world legends, and a little bit of magic. I'm here for it. I'm really excited and hope that I enjoy it. So now let's get to the other physical books that are just taking up space on my TBR cart. And if I get to them, excellent. And if I don't, that's also okay. But a lot of these are pulled from my spring TBR, which I'm trying to get better at reading from. Let's see how successful I am in the month of April. More adult books on here just because they all sound super interesting. I don't know if I'm going to wind up reading them all. The first book is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Mistborn series. I really struggled with book 1, but I am finding book 2 in adult fantasy series I tend to like more. And now that I've read more books by Brandon, I think that I might like this one a little bit more. But yeah, I'm excited to read this one. I don't know if I'm going to get to it in April, but I will hopefully get to it soon. Another book that is on my spring TBR is A Wicked Thing by Rihanna Thomas. I read her thriller mystery and I really liked it. And this is a Princess Aurora retelling. A Wicked Thing, a surprising spellbinding reimagining of what happens after Happily Ever After. I think this follows after she's woken up. So this is on my spring TBR. I've had this for a while. I also do have the sequel, so this was back when I was buying stuff from Book Outlet, but I do hope I get around to it because I really am excited for it. This is probably going to be one of my last, like, wintry themed books, but I do want to read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I've had this on my TBR cart for quite a bit of time, and I just haven't removed it or taken it away. This is the new companion series set in the Caraval world, and I really have enjoyed that series, so that is why it is still on my TBR cart. And I hope that I get around to it. This will probably be my last wintry themed read that I read before it turns to summer, but I am excited for that one. Sort of going along in the same exact vein, I have Daughter of a Moon Goddess by Shu Lin Tam, which is another one that is just more mythology based. It's also another adult read, but it is mythology based, so I don't know. I've heard some mixed things, but an enthralling debut, fantasy inspired by the legend of the Chinese moon goddess, in which a young mother's quest to free her mother sets her on a dangerous path and pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. So it follows a daughter trying to save her mother. I have heard a few mixed things about it, but this cover was so pretty. I could not resist. I heard it's like a mix between young adult and adult, so I'm excited. Hopefully I enjoy it. But again, it's another adult book, and I have struggled with that recently. But it just sounds so interesting. So the last three are all from my spring TBR. Nearly Gone by El Casimato. I have read her Finley Donovan series. This is sort of has to do with like a serial killer. She lives in a Washington park with her mom, who works at a exotic dancer. But then a serial killer gets involved, and she has to get involved because I feel like she can like see the future or something. So this is like a murder mystery, but I'm really excited for this, and a serial killer. So I also have another book about a serial killer, so maybe I'll do a reading vlog. We'll see. And then another book on my TBR is Bringing Down the Duke by E.B. Dunmore. I have had this again on my TBR for a very, very long time. I was supposed to read it during my Bridgerton weekend, and I just ran out of time. But it is on my TBR, and I have heard really good things about this one, so I would like to get around to reading it. And the last book on my physical TBR that is also going to be on my spring TBR is In Every Generation by Kendare Blake. This is a Buffy the Vampire inspired story following Frankie, Willow's daughter. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a big Willow fan. I'm excited to see her even tangentially in a story. So yeah, that is my impressive TBR. It's not as chaotic as it normally is. It doesn't have 33 parts. But I know because I want to be a mind walker in Orillium, I need to focus. So, but I do have other backup plans. I will probably read more than those books. I'm not even going to tell you my audiobooks because I don't even know what I'm in the mood for. It's just going to kind of differentiate from the book that I'm actually reading. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you're planning on participating in any of these reading challenges, and I'll talk to you guys for my next video. Bye, friends.